Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Private Data. Back in the early 2000s, I was working for a local council in New Zealand. If you are not aware, New Zealand has a central government and a series of local areas around cities or rural boundaries, each one by an elected mayor and council. The day-to-day business is, of course, done by employees in a typical business structure. One of the things about this is that all computer systems are regarded as being owned by the council and kinda sorta by the populace. If a member of the public wants to see what's on the computers, they can make a request under the Official Information Act and see pretty much anything, except private data. Also, working in the council offices was a small business that had an exclusive contract with the council. This group handled the more physical aspects of the council systems, maintenance of roads, sewer and water systems, etc. If the council said, "We need a new pipe there," the small business made it happen. The thing is, the small business leased their computers from the council. The small IT team, 3 people including me, built and supplied those machines. We owned the software that was on them, and they were connected to the internal council network. This meant they were subject to the same local government and council policies as the rest of us. Periodically, we in IT would clean out large files. Early 2000s, when storage was expensive and we were limited due to budget, etc. Now, the staff was fully aware of this and knew to keep personal files to a minimum. If we, during a purge, found large personal files, we could delete them at our discretion. During this time, we found some videos on a small business employee's machine. It was adult stuff of the extreme kind. Because this violated council policy in oh so many ways, we deleted it quietly. The employee in question complained, claiming we had removed personal files. I never saw the videos, happily, but my understanding is that he wasn't in them. There was stuff he had downloaded. We pointed at the policy. He went to the CEO and complained. The CEO came to us. My boss had figured this might happen. The employee in question was an interesting guy and showed the CEO one of the videos, which was on the backups, just in case we deleted something we shouldn't and had to restore it. We were good enough at our jobs that we never had to do that, but better safe than sorry. I wasn't there when it happened, but by all accounts, the CEO hauled the employee and the employee's boss of the small business, to an out-of-hearing location and ripped them a new one. The only reason the employee wasn't fired was because he technically worked for the small business and not the council. The next story is called The Forger. This occurred back in the 70s. I was taking an elective criminal forensics night course at a local community college. The best part about taking this course was the instructor. He gave us an in-depth tour at the US Criminal Forensics Lab, where he worked as the question document examiner, i.e. handwriting analysis, signature matching, etc. Also, since computers were barely introduced into forensics at the time, all handwriting analysis and matching was done by hand, and this instructor was one of, if not the best, in the world. It was a great course, studying many facets of criminal forensics and taking the amazing lab tour. As the course was coming to an end, the question document facet approached, the instructor's specialty. At the end of the class, just before it started, the instructor wrote a paragraph on the board, and we each had 2 sheets of blank lined paper. He told us to write the paragraph, only the paragraph, any way we want, on one sheet, and then again on the other sheet, trying to disguise our handwriting. "You are committing forgery." The instructor laughed and we all started writing. When done, one student, not me, collected all the sheets, mixed them up and took them to the instructor. We all looked forward to the next class, where the instructor would present matched sheets, then explain to us why our forgery attempts failed and how he would testify in court to prove it. Because I wanted to go home, I made it easy on myself. For my forgery attempt, I wrote the paragraph in print on one sheet and in cursive on the other sheet, even though we were told that it is a failed way to disguise handwriting. Now for a little background on my handwriting. It's bad. I mean really bad. I have held pencils and pens wrong since I learned to write. The easiest way to explain it is that I write with a closed fist, right-handed. In elementary school, my parents hired a tutor to try to teach me to write again from scratch, including putting plastic things on pencils to make my preferred grip uncomfortable. It failed miserably. In high school, I had a teacher tell me I would amount to nothing because I had issues writing legibly. Basically, my print is somewhat legible, and my cursive, good luck. But that should make no difference, right? At the beginning of the next class, the normally happy-go-lucky instructor looked very upset as he walked in. The first words out of his mouth was that if anyone played a practical joke on him, he did not appreciate it. The whole class, around 15 students, looked at each other totally confused. The instructor then again tried to get someone to confess, but we all continued to look confused. The instructor calmed down a little and decided to continue with the class as he would normally have done. From the stack of papers he was handed at the end of the last class, he picked out the top 2 sheets and said in court speak how he deduced that the same person wrote both paragraphs. Then a student would admit it was their failed forgery attempt, and the instructor would continue with the next 2 sheets. When there were just 2 sheets left, the instructor lifted them up for all of the class to see. Looking straight at me, he said that he could not testify in court saying the same person wrote both paragraphs. With a scared look on my face, I said both sheets were mine and I wrote both paragraphs. So in front of the instructor and the whole class, I again wrote the paragraph, once in print and once in cursive. The instructor walked away, shaking his head and mumbling something like he had never seen this before. After that, the instructor looked at and spoke to me differently, as my classmates created some obvious nicknames for me, e.g. the forger. I got an A in the class and was very happy when it ended. The last story is called At All Times. This happened about 8 years ago, 1 year into my first job. The firm that I worked for had a part-time program for law students, so they could work and gain experience while in school, very common in my country. I loved my job. I was very grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow, and I really enjoyed the work I performed. The thing was, I had classes both in the morning and the afternoon, and my school was on the other side of the city, about 8 miles away. This could turn into hours of traffic during rush hour, so my days looked pretty hectic. During my first year in the program, I had more than proved myself and earned my place. I was the 20-year-old idiot, type A overachiever that knew no boundaries. I had worked weekends, pulled all-nighters. Literally, I would leave school at 10 p.m. and go back to work. I worked full-time in the summers without more pay. Anything I had to do to keep the associates happy, so they'd keep teaching me. As I was wrapping up my first anniversary there, the perfect storm of awful rolled around. On the academic front, I started a new semester, and twice a week in the mornings, I had a teacher who was awesome, but would finish class 20 to 30 minutes late. On the work front, a new partner joined the firm. He kind of took over as an unofficial managing partner. He was the typical old-fashioned lawyer that should be extinct by now. He could barely use Microsoft Word to type a contract and would pass out at the sight of an Excel sheet. He had this weird obsession with punctuality, while simultaneously being late to everything. Plus, he believed that by having a bunch of people warming up shares, he would magically make money. So instead of investing time in client development, he would just spend endless time and effort on bullying everyone around the office. To make matters worse, since other people spoke highly of me, he decided to pay special attention to me. Unsurprisingly, shortly after he joined, the firm started struggling. Now, he could have tried to get new clients, send quotes by the deadline, and show up to meetings on time. But no. Of course, the firm was doing poorly because we clerks did not spend enough time warming up the shares. So he became obsessed with us getting there by 10 a.m., especially me. The issue was that I could not get there by 10 because my teacher finished class late, and there was no way I could drive across the city in rush hour in 30 minutes. He called a meeting with all the clerks and yelled at me in front of everyone because I was always late. More like 2 times a week, but whatever. The fact that I had gotten permission from the program committee did not matter. The fact that I was working 6 or 7 hours every day while I only had to work 5 did not matter. The fact that I would work weekends and late nights did not matter. I tried to explain, but he'll keep yelling at me and would not let me talk. Having had enough, I left the conference room straight into the office of every member of the clerk program committee. 1 junior associate, 1 senior associate, and 1 partner. To say the same speech. I am late because I have class. I have proven my commitment to the firm, but my education is important too. If 30 minutes late twice a week is too big of an issue, feel free to fire me. But I am not leaving class early. I then went to my desk to do my work. I guess the committee informed other partners and word got around of what was going on. Because as I was getting ready to leave for school, a new partner came fuming to my desk. He told me, "I know you are lying. From now on, I want to know where you are at all times. If I catch that you were slacking off or lying, you are fired, and I will make sure no one will ever hire you." The next day, I woke up extra early, at 5 AM sharp. I took a timestamp photo and sent it to both his email and phone, since I could not risk him not getting it and him not knowing where I was. I sent a timestamp photo every 5 minutes, captioning what I was doing like it was my own personal social media platform with one follower. The cherry on top was that my teacher had worked with the partner in the past and obviously did not like him very much. He let me take photos during the class and diligently sent them to the partner. I even went as far as taking a photo of the toilet door with the text peeing, and then at the toilet flushing all done. I went as far as taking a photo of the toilet door with the text peeing. While driving, since traffic was really slow, I would send a photo and include how much I had moved during that time. Sometimes it was something absurd like 100 feet. As soon as I sent a photo of me and my desk, he shows up, saying that he got the point and I could stop. A couple of weeks later, he simply stopped bugging people and started working from home or locking himself up in his office. My guess is I was not the only one to complain, and the other partner realized how dangerous he could be to the firm and asked him to back off. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.